This video is in collaboration with one of my sisters on Instagram. She has a YouTube channel as well called Life of Lula Doll. She does all motherhood, food, and lifestyle content. This is her beautiful daughter. Y'all please go check out her channel. Let her know you came from me.
Hi, my name is Jay and welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to Tea Time. Today we're going to be talking about generational curses, and I brought along my mom and dad because, you know, obviously they're a generation before me, actually 2 generations before me, so we'll see how this all trickles down.
I'm Patricia, and I'm her mom of 24, almost 25 years.
You don't have to put my age.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm her dad.
Okay.
And I brought little AJ with us today.
Yes, again, my son is in this one too. But this time you guys have to see him. So, okay, I wanted to talk about generational curses because I feel like generational curses kind of play a big role in like how we function in life. And I know people tend to talk about like, you know, like the big generational curses and not necessarily about like the little tiny things that like affect our day-to-day life. You know, kind of like, I guess my biggest example would be like healthy eating. Like you don't really see, or maybe nowadays you see it more, but back in the day you didn't really see like us as black people eating healthy. You know, we always were like have that southern cooking, you know, like heavy fat, heavy salt, heavy sodium. But like, you know, and whenever like someone would eat healthy, they'd be like, oh no, I'm not really for that. Like I guess my biggest example would be like mom. Out of like our whole family, she's like the healthy eater, and like she, like, you know, even on your side and on her side, it's like everyone's like, no, we're not trying to do that. I'm not trying to eat turkey bacon, you know, like, and I feel like that's because of like, you know, back in the day we just didn't eat healthy, you know, like we make fun of white people for not seasoning their food, but it's like, you know, I guess why are we so resistant to eating healthy? Do you think that's a generational curse?
Yes and no. Yes, because I think down through the ages, slavery time, we seasoned what we had, and we were thrown the scraps of the table, so to speak. So we made the best of it to make it taste good for our family. So I think that kind of trickled down to where we are today. And so that is one of the reasons why we do season our food. Sometimes people would say season it to death, but we season it.
Okay, Dad?
Well, I think it all boils down to, with anything, you know, it's just about choices. And I think, yes, it may have been, I'm sure a lot of things were passed down. It sort of reminds me of the story where this young lady, she would always cook her ham, but when she had the ham, she would cut off the ends of it. Mm-hmm. And so it was passed down. So the next daughter, when she was born and she started cooking, she would always cut the ends off. Mm-hmm. So she just kept right on passing that down, and eventually it got down to the 3rd generation, and finally the little girl asked us, why do you cut the ends off the, you know, because those are really the good pieces. Why do you cut the ends off of the ham? So they said, well, let's go ask Grandma. She's like, I don't know, we always did it. Yeah. So they asked Grandma, and Grandma's like, well, the reason why we did that is because I only had a small pot. So it would only fit in that size pot, so we had to cut the ends off.
Yeah.
So same thing with, you know, things on how we cooked and style and what we, you know, you always put fat back into your greens and things like that. But as you get older and you understand about healthy eating, you realize that you need to watch your cholesterol. You need to watch your fat intake. You need to watch all those things. So you have to be careful what you eat and how you eat. So, and in order, you see that, you know, it throughout history, that if you don't take care of yourself and you eat those things, they're detrimental to your body. So the last thing is sure.
That's true.
And like, for instance, cabbage, we were taught that you take the middle and you throw that out. Well, nowadays they were shown that that is where the nutrients go into the middle of the cabbage. So you cut it up, all of the cabbage, and you use it now. So
I didn't even know
The
that.
same thing with I guess white potatoes.
yeah.
You know, a lot of times we would always skin or pull all the skin off of it, and then you cut the potato up.
Yeah.
But all the nutrients are in the
skin.
Skins, right. Amen.
It's just kind of funny because, like, I know some people are like, well, back in the day, you know, people survived off of this, and this. But it's like, you know, I feel like through education and now that times are different, you learn different things. You know, just like you said about the potatoes, that the skin, it was what hold all the nutrients. You know, at one point, I'm sure our generations didn't know that. So it's like, I think that's interesting how, like, just education alone can break a bad curse.
Well,
So
see, I think the thing is, when you know better, you should do better. So a lot of times, you know, the generation before us, a lot of things they did not have, they didn't know, or they used what they had or what they grew in their garden and stuff. Now you can go to the market, you can pick and choose what you want, and you can Google and figure out what's the best way, most healthy way to cook it. So I think it boils down to choices. You have to choose, and I think a lot of generational curses that are passed down, you still get to make the choice.
Right.
And then too, I've heard a quote that says you can't confuse generational choices with generational generational curses, because there are different choices that you make, and people confuse it with generational curses, and that's a difference.
So what do you think the difference would be, generational choices and curses?
Like we just talked about the food.
Like
That's
choosing to use your education to make your choice instead of, you know, like just strictly following what you've always known?
What I'm saying is, no, when we didn't do the choices, we took whatever our parents did, and that's what we did because that choice was made for us. Because that's what
They knew.
mom and dad did, and we were taught that mom and dad was the direct, that was the ultimate, and that's what you did. You did what they said do.
Right.
But then as you get older, you realize that you're in control of your mind and your body and things that you do. So you do the education that you need to find out how to reverse certain things, because it didn't make their bodies good at all. Some of them had high blood pressure, some of them had diabetes, some of them, and it wasn't through no fault of their own. It's just that that's what was passed down, and that's what they knew. But now that you've been educated and you know a little bit more, you change the tides for your children.
See, that really kind of goes to show, like, education is power. Like, it can, just by knowing better, you'll do better.
Well, you should.
Yeah.
A lot of times you have a lot of people, they know better, but they just don't do better.
Right.
Well, then do they really know better?
They know. But
They
it's
know.
a choice.
Yeah, they know.
It's always a choice. Decision. You could decide what do you want to do with the education that you have. Or,
Right.
you know, a lot of times people come and they seek advice, and you give them advice. So they know, but they get to decide whether or not
They
they
want
want to
to
take
or
the
not.
advice. And I always tell people the same thing when you get advice, you check your source.
Right.
So I can't tell you how to do something that I don't really
Know how to do it. Yeah.
And then if you listen to me and I'm not a good source, then you're going to get bad information.
Right.
But I think some of the biggest differences is that, you know, education is power.
Yes.
And you don't have to stay ignorant. And if you do know what's, you know, since we're talking about health, if you know that you have those different genes or the makeup in your family, such as diabetes, hypertension, all the diseases that are usually a lot of times that are passed down, you can help control some of that. You know that you got hypertension, so you shouldn't be eating all those ribs all the time, barbecue, and you know, you may need to get on that turkey bacon.
Well, this was fun. I guys, I think that maybe we should do a part 2, because I don't feel like we dove into exactly all of the generational curse thing, but this was a good discussion. I want to talk about my tea that I have. It's a peach honey bush herbal tea by Byron Teas, and it's actually really sweet. I had to add honey, but it was really sweet, and it was, y'all see, I almost finished it through this whole thing. But please leave a comment, share this information because it could help somebody, and comment down below if you think that we should do a part 2 with this, and just let me know your thoughts.